Good day, everyone. My name is Giselle Galiana from BA Ed 2, and my topic for today is all about Republic Act 9262, Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children, Act of 2004. Republic Act Number 9262, an act defining violence against women and their children, providing for protective measures for victims, prescribing penalties, therefore, and for other purposes. Section 2 Declaration of Policy. Good day, everyone. My name is Giselle Katubay Galiana, and my topic for today is all about Republic Act 9262, Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004. Republic Act Number 9262, an act defining violence against women and their children, providing for protective measures for victims, prescribing penalties, therefore, and for other purposes. Section 2. Declaration of Policy. It is hereby declared that the state values the dignity of women and children and guarantees full respect for human rights. The state also recognizes the need to protect the family and its members, particularly women and children, from violence and threats to their personal safety and security. Towards this end, the state shall exert efforts to address violence committed against women and children, in keeping with the fundamental freedom guaranteed under the Constitution and the provision of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, Convention on the Rights of the Child, and other international human rights, instruments of which the Philippines is a party. A violence against woman, any act or series of acts committed by any person against a woman who is his wife, former wife, or with whom the person has or had a sexual or dating relationships, or with whom he has a common child, or against her child under her care, which result or is likely to result in physical, sexual, psychological harm or suffering or economic abuse, including threats of such acts, battery, assault, coercion, harassment, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty. First, physical violence refers to acts that include bodily or physically harm. Second, sexual violence refers to an act which is sexual in nature committed against a woman or a child. It includes, but it's not limited to, rape, sexual harassment, acts of lasciviousness, treating a woman or her child as a sex object, making demeaning and sexually suggestive remarks, physically attacking the sexual parts of the victim's body, forcing her or him to watch obscene publication and indecent shows, or forcing the woman or child to do indecent act and or make films thereof, forcing the wife and mistress, lover to live in the conjugal home or sleep together in the same room with the abuser. Acts causing or attempting to cause the victim to engage in any sexual activity by force, threat of force, physical or other harm, or threat of physical or other harm or coercion. Prostituting the woman or child. Third, psychological violence refers to acts or omission causing or likely to cause mental or emotional suffering of the victim, such as, but not limited to, intimidation, harassment, stalking, damage to property, public ridicule or humiliation, repeated verbal abuse, and mental infidelity. It includes causing or allowing the victim to witness the physical, sexual, or psychological abuse of a member of the family to which the victim belongs, or to witness pornography in any form, or to witness abusive injury to pets, or to the unlawful or unwanted deprivation of the right to custody and or visitation of common children. Fourth, economic abuse refers to acts that to make or attempt to make a woman financially dependent, which includes but not limited to the following: withdrawal of financial support or preventing the victim from engaging in any legitimate profession, occupation, business, or activity, except in casing wherein the other spouse, partner, object on valid, serious and moral grounds as defined in Article 73 of the Family Code. Deprivation or threat of deprivation of financial resources and the right to the use and enjoyment of the conjugal community or property owned in common. Destroying household property, controlling the victim's own money or properties, or solely controlling the conjugal money or properties. Battery refers to an act of inflicting physical harm upon the woman or child resulting to the physical and psychological or emotional distress. Battered woman syndrome refers to the scientifically defined pattern of psychological and behavioral symptoms found in women living in a battering relationships as a result cumulative abuse. Stalking refers to an intentional act committed by the person who, knowingly and without lawful justification, follows the woman or her child or places the woman or her child under the surveillance directly or indirectly or thereof. Dating relationship refers to a situation wherein the parties live as husband and wife without the benefit of marriage or are romantically involved over time and on a continuing basis during the course of the relationship. A casual acquaintance or ordinary socialization between two individuals in a business or social context is not a dating relationship. Sexual relations refers to a single sexual act which may or may not result in bearing of a common child. Safe, safe place or shelter refers to any home or institution maintained or managed by the Department of Social and Development or DSWD or by any other agency or voluntary organization accredited by the DSWD for the purposes of this act or any other suitable place the resident of which is willing temporarily to receive the victim. Children refers to those below 18 years of age or older but are incapable of taking care of themselves as defined under Republic Act 7610. As used in this act, it includes the biological children of the victim and other children under her care. Center of approach: relationship, past or present, married or not, live-in or not, sexual or dating relationship and including lesbian relationship with common child. Liable person on VAWC, violence against women and their children. Husband, ex-husband, boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, father of the woman's child, lesbian girlfriends, partners, or ex-partners, any person with whom the woman has or had a sexual or dating relationship. Section 5 Acts of Violence Against Women and Their Children. The crime of violence against women and their children is committed through any of the following acts: causing physical harm to the woman or her child, threatening to cause the woman or her child physically harm, attempting to cause the woman or her child physically harm, placing the woman or her child in fear of imminent physical harm. This is from conduct which they have the right to engage in or attempting to restrict or restricting the woman's or her child's freedom of movement or conduct by force or threat, inflicting or threatening to inflict physical harm on oneself for the purpose of controlling her action or decisions, causing or attempting to cause the woman or her child to engage in any sexual activity which does not constitute rape by force or threat of force, physical harm, or through intimidation directed against a woman or her child or his immediate family. Engaging in purposeful knowing or reckless conduct, personally or through another, that alarms or causes substantial emotional or psychological distress to the woman or her child. This shall include but not limited to the following acts: stalking or following the woman or her child in public or private places, peering in the window or lingering outside the residence of the woman or child, entering or remaining in the dwelling or on the property of the woman or her child against her or his will, destroying the property and personal belongings or inflicting harm to animals or pets of the woman or her child, and engaging in any form of harassment or violence, causing mental or emotional anguish, public ridicule or humiliation to the woman or her child, including but not limited to repeated verbal and emotional abuse, and denial of financial support or custody of minor children, of access to the woman, child, or children. Section 7. Venue. The regional trial court designated as a family court shall have original and exclusive jurisdiction over cases of violence against women and their children under this law. In the absence of such court in the place where the offenses was committed, the case shall be filed in the regional trial court where the crime or any of its elements was committed at the option of the complainant. Section 8. Protection Orders. A protection order is an order issued under this Act for the purpose of preventing further acts of violence against a woman or her child specified in Section 5 of this Act and granted other necessary relief. The relief granted under a protection order served the purpose of safeguarding and victim from the further harm, minimizing any disruption in the victim's daily life, and facilitating the community and ability of a victim to independently regain control over her life. Section 2. Battered Woman Syndrome as a defense. Victims, survivors who are found by the courts to be suffering from battered woman syndrome do not incur any criminal and civil liability, withstanding the absence of any of the elements for justifying circumstances of self-defense under the revised penal code. In the determination of the state of woman of the in the determination of the state of mind of the woman who was suffering from battered woman syndrome and the time of the commission of a crime, the court shall be assisted by expert in psychiatrists or psychologists. Section 27 Prohibited Defense. Being under the influence of alcohol, any illicit drug, or any other mind-altering substance shall not be a defense under this Act. Section 35. Rights of Victims. In addition to their rights under existing laws, victims of violence against women and their children shall have the following rights: to be treated with respect and dignity, to avail of legal assistance from the PAW of the Department of Justice or any public legal assistance office, to be entitled to support services from DSWD and LGUs, to be entitled all legal remedies and support as provided for under the Family Code, and to be informed of their rights and the services available to them, including the right to apply for a protection order. Section 40. Mandatory programs and services for victims. The DSWD and the LGUs shall provide the victims temporarily shelters, provide counseling and psychosocial services, and recovery rehabilitation programs and livelihood assistance. The DOH shall provide medical assistance to victims. Section 41. Counseling and Treatment of Offenders. The DSWD shall provide the rehabilitative counseling and coping with anger and emotional outbursts and reforming their ways. When necessary, the offender shall be ordered by the court to submit psychiatric treatment or confinement. Section 45. Funding. The amount necessary to implement the provision of this Act shall be included in the Annual General Appropriations Act. The Gender and Development or GOD budget of the mandated agencies and LGUs shall be used to implement services for victims of violence against women and their children. Section 46. Implementing Rules Regulation. Within 6 months from the approval of this Act, the DOG, the NCRFW, and the DSWD, the DILG, and DOH, and the PNP, and 3 representatives from NGOs to be identified by the NCRFW shall promulgate the implementing rules and regulation or IRR of this Act. Section 50. Effectively. This Act take effect 15 days from the date it's of complete publication in at least 2 newspapers of general circulation. And that is all for today. And have a good day. Thank you.